You're going live. Yeah, you're live.
I'm live. Here we go. Oh, okay. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom.
Hello.
Hi, my
Hi.
friend, my
Hi,
my
how are
my
you?
my new friend.
Yes.
Hi,
Yeah,
hi.
and others coming in. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Boom. Okay, Nick. Hey, bud.
Hi, Garnet. Good morning. For you, good evening.
Or just we'll do like the Aussies. Good day, and skip the time zones. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And Olaf and okay. Ilmari, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Ilmari is right. Yes, Ilmari.
Fantastic. Do I get to see you?
Well, I have not done the makeup this morning, so I am in incognito at this moment.
Okay,
Perhaps
all
next
right.
time.
All is good. All is good. Okay, so we'll see. I don't know how many others will join in live. We have quite a number that have registered, but a lot of people are watching because it is being streamed live and on Facebook and YouTube. So, Andres, okay,
Nick, ben je Nederlander?
yeah, okay, okay. So, Andres, you're looking
Yes,
very casual there, my friend. All good?
yes, of course.
Of course. Okay. All right. Well, let's start to tiptoe into our time together. I like doing this. I like meeting you, and I like spending time. Believe it or not, like Andres, I even have a cup of coffee. I'm trying to do this for real, right? So
Right.
here we are. Hmm. Well, I like talking about this stuff, and I'm very interested in what you want to talk about. And let's kind of, explore a little bit. I have some questions that were submitted by persons in front of me, um, and maybe we can go there. I'm also interested if there's anything that those of you that are joining here live, also have as a question or a comment. Just let's see how the whole thing shapes up. So if anybody wants to jump in, I'm famous for talking a lot, so I have to be mindful that I don't, do what I oftentimes do. So anybody, take a shot.
I want to know, Garnet, what your opinion is about the statement of Cody when his research using
Yeah,
the NeuroVIZR and the
sure.
other system to prove uh, what
Prove something, huh?
the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit. If you haven't seen, Cody Rawl has for 10 years has been doing this YouTube channel, uh, and it's all about neurotechnology, technology relating specifically to the brain. He is ex-military. He's Navy, was training to be a surgeon, switched over to psychiatry. So he is a well-trained and a very personable, honest guy that is interested in the things that we're interested in. So, yeah, he became interested in the NeuroVIZR, and he and I talked some number of times back and forth. And one of the main issues about doing, to call it research is a little formal, to explore formally and informally, what does the NeuroVIZR do by measuring things in the brain is, of course, a fascinating question. And we get asked it a lot. And then the challenge for me has always been, well, what do we want to measure? I think most people, I hope by this time, have begun to appreciate that the methodology of the NeuroVIZR is labeled brain engagement as a contrast or a comparison to brain entrainment, which is a conventional or classic way of using light and sound. The brain entrainment, I was working with it in the mid-'80s. It's been around quite a long while. Is a concept called the frequency following response. And that if you pulse repeatedly over and over again, in the beginning, that signal is superimposed on the brain. And then after maybe 6 to 8 minutes, depending on the quality of the signal, the brain will begin to pick up that signal and generate it. So that's pretty easy to measure. It's like super easy to measure. Brain engagement doesn't pursue that same goal. The goal of the NeuroVIZR with brain engagement is to help the brain get better and better at making changes when changes need to be made. It's the idea of an adaptive process, a kind of an exercising or instructing the brain to be more responsive, more adaptive to the demands of life. So like, how do you measure? What are we looking for? This is a deep subject. I love it. I will resist getting into it too far. But Cody and I were talking back and forth. We said, how about we measure some of the entropic elements? Entropy meaning when you decrease order and you begin to open up to more and more possibilities. The concept from Robin Carhart Harris and psychedelic-assisted therapy and psychedelic compound research, the entropic brain. So that was one of the things that we said, okay, let's see if we can measure somehow a degree of the brain loosening up its habituated order so that it can be more adaptive. That was one of the things. And what we saw was that, that happened. Now, the other thing was a curiosity about whether the brain would respond by increases in both beta and gamma brainwaves. Because, again, I'm resisting a lot of complex theory here, but that brains that become less functional, less adaptive, frequently lose the ability to move into that beta-gamma range. And so there were two things that he was looking at. One was, is there entropic change? Can we loosen up the order to make change easier? And the other is, can we increase that beta and gamma areas? And yes, we had quite a significant positive demonstration there. Let's be aware of the fact that the NeuroVIZR has a lot of different sessions. So the sessions that you choose will tend to move towards certain outcomes. And he was using upbeat. He personally likes upbeat quite a lot. And then also gamma gamma because of the interest following the MIT studies and so on. So I don't know if, Nick, whether, that helps you or answers, but you take it further. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's quite important to have proof, especially in Europe. We are a lot of people here who needs proof before buying.
Yeah.
And I have an phony EEG headset, so I was thinking already how to combine both. And he had a good idea to put the NeuroVIZR in front of you instead of your head, because you are too busy on your head with all the equipment.
Yeah, that if you do that, and I did remind him of the fact that he did it for the video. He was quite a distance away from it. That if you're actually going to take it off and put it on a stand, then it really needs to be at that 8 to 10 centimeters from the eyes to get all of the macro signal property. So, I reminded him of that. That was just a video shot of how he did it. But okay, I want, if I may, there is something actually that is quite important that I'm wanting all of us to appreciate. And it relates to what you were saying, Nick, in a way. Most people, even those significantly involved, even people designing devices, are still focusing on the frequency. What is the frequency? I get asked that all the time. What is the frequency? And it's valid, but a little misunderstood at the same time. The NeuroVIZR, I'll make a statement here, then we'll open it up a little bit. The NeuroVIZR experience is not frequency-centric. The frequency itself is not the central dynamic information source. It is, of course, it involves frequencies, but it is more the dynamic relationship of the frequencies and not the particular frequency itself. And that's really very important because in brain entrainment, it is the frequency. Brain entrainment is frequency-centric. The NeuroVIZR, as brain engagement, uses frequencies, but in a dynamic or compositional fashion. So, I'm a big fan of Jimi Hendrix, and it would be odd, and I'm not comparing myself to Jimi Hendrix, let's be serious here, but that it would be odd to ask Hendrix, when you listen to him doing Voodoo Child or something, oh, what note did you play? And, well, it isn't any one particular note, although the notes are important. It is the dynamic arrangement of those notes. So when a person wants to do what we'll call research or investigation on a NeuroVIZR session, it's really important that they know how it behaves so that they're better able to know what to look for. So, like example, and I'll stop the talk. If a person was wanting to see if there was brain entrainment, they won't see that. Why? Because it's not meant to do that. That the goal, I started with information theory as applied to enabling neuroplastic change in the brain. That was, 7, 8 years ago. That's where I began. That's what I wanted to do. And then it evolved out of that into entropic brain theory. Wow, to make neuroplastic change, you have to soften the glue of habit. So like, entropy processes, that's pretty interesting. Then I got involved in neurological bottom-up and top-down signaling to be able to enable bottom-up virginal experience to change the brain. Then I got involved with criticality, and now the holy grail is brain signal variability. So most people, most users are really not interested in taking that kind of theoretical ride. So my task is to spend time with all of you developing a deeper appreciation, because the NeuroVIZR is ahead of a wave of understanding of the brain. We're not behind the wave, we're ahead of the wave. And that makes it a little bit of a challenge because most people have references from the past and are not really aware of what's happening as we go into the future. So, okay, I warned you, I talk a lot. So come on, guys, jump on me here. Come on, push me. All right.
I have a different question.
Nick, you're on mute, my friend. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now, Martin. Yeah.
Okay.
Nick, we'll catch you in a bit, buddy. Yeah.
All right. I have a question. One of my clients, I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm using it as I told you, with my clients. And she asked me this morning, can you ask him when you see him if 3 times a day is too much? Because the last week she was so enthusiastic, and there were so many things happening to her, positive things, that she said, I felt it was necessary for me. So she started in the morning, then around 1 o'clock, and then till the early evening. And she wanted to know, is there too much?
Well, you can kill yourself with water, I've been told. Yeah. I haven't tried, but I mean, drinking water, of course, you can drown. But I'll say, first of all, my philosophy or my theory is I believe in trying to achieve the most while doing the least.
Right.
That I'm very interested in minimum threshold as compared to maximum tolerance. Okay, Michael. So that's a position that I have. Now, let's understand that we're working with the brain. And I'm not going to debate the relationship of brain to mind. You know, we all have our points of view, but we know for sure we have a brain. Well, at least we believe we have it in there. So this is brain, and the brain is physical. It's as physical as your heart. It's as physical as your kneecap. It's physical. Just about everything that we know about our soma applies to the brain, because it's even artificial to separate the brain from the rest of the body. So let's think of it in terms of exercise. What do you know about exercise? Well, there are different kinds of exercise, and there are people that are older and younger. There are people that are more physically fit, less physically fit. All of that is true about the brain. I don't do much physical exercise. I do a little bit, and I will feel, you know, the soreness day after, delayed onset soreness. I feel it, and, you know, of course, I'm older. I mean, I'm older than I was. That's hardly a startling statement, but that it takes a little bit of exercise for me to get a lot of activity going. So, you know, because whether we're working with patients or clients or family or just ourselves with the NeuroVIZR, please return to common sense. What you've learned about the body as a whole generally applies. Now, for example, in better sleep, there are actually sessions that are laid out throughout the expanse of the day. So a person could do something earlier, I'll say in the morning, and then in the middle of the day, and then in the early evening. And generally, it's quite well tolerated. That's not a problem. However, more is not better. And always seek that, you know, like, I don't know, you know, coffee
like
is
a sweet spot.
Well, yeah, okay, sweet spot of criticality, that's a hot one. But that the idea is, like, I don't like hot soup. You know, I don't know why. You know, I put an ice cube in it because I want it to be. So let the experience be true to your common experience, and I think you're going to be pretty okay in your decisions.
All right.
Okay.
I will tell.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Come on, guys, stir the pot a little bit. You know, I'm happy to talk, but I'd rather talk with you instead of at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come back to your last point, Garnet.
Sure.
Do you mean that the impact of the frequency is also different because for the child it sounds different in the bathroom than in the living room? So it depends on the brain and the whole tissue what's there available that makes an impact to each person, each individual person.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that bit. Nick, I like your questions. Thank you. The you know about the, you know, this attitude, this, like, the magic pill attitude, that you want an effect, let's say for your health or for pleasure, whatever. And the idea is that you just take the pill and the pill makes the effect. And okay, there's some truth that a pill will affect you, but the concept of the magic pill, you know what I mean? I think right now that and partly propagated by social media, I think that we have right now an overly romantic magic frequency mentality happening. And I think that it's easy to make that determination because it simplifies everything. Oh, what's the frequency? Or if I just do that frequency, of course it's going to have an effect. But here's something for us to understand. The brain puts out this electromagnetic radiation, and we have devices that can pick it up and harvest it as data. Let's talk about, I don't know, 10 hertz, like the famous 10 hertz. Centric alpha, the first brain wave to be measured by Hans Berger, whatever that was, 1929 or something. Okay. Do you think that the brain, when it puts out centric alpha, puts out exactly the whole integer 10 hertz, exactly 10 hertz? No, not at all. The EEG sets pick up information, data, and it's like a volcano exploding out of the top of the head. And it's picking up just superficial. We know that on the cortex. It doesn't go deep. So the algorithms rule the game. The algorithms will average out. So what could be 9.6 hertz or 10.3 hertz or, oscillating around there, the algorithm will round it off as 10 hertz. So that tells you right there that, when we put in whole integer frequencies through stimulation, I'm guessing that it is a little bit like this, that you can hear my voice, you can understand what I am saying, but it's strange. Why? That's an artificial, there's no prosody, there's no smoothness, there's no analog to it, that it is highly, highly specific. It's like the early music synthesizers, and Martin works with music, and that, the early synthesizers or music software, it sort of sounded like a violin, but it wasn't. You say that's the violin sound. Why was it a little bit weird? Because it was too perfect. Until the software this morning was such that it became humanized. The humanizing means, like in my software that I developed, I have a fuzzy deviation element that I can choose to fuzzy the signal, so that if it's putting out 15 hertz, it can be pure tone 15 hertz, or it can be kind of a fuzzy randomized 15 hertz. Why? Because that's the way brain waves are naturally. So it's right now, I think that it is, I'll say it again, kind of a romantic idea about the perfect frequency. What is the magic frequency? And if I just get that frequency, everything is going to be fine. I think it's a lot more musical. I think music is the way it is because our brain is the way it is. And the closer we get to working with light musically, like we do with sound, I think the brain is going to be super happy.
Okay. Yeah, and every person is different. Like your body weight in Australia is totally different than the body weight in England or in France because of the gravity.
Yep.
So people are not thinking about their own responsibility in how to behave during several frequency or anything else.
Okay, so
the romantic.
Yeah, right now I'm working with a PhD, neuro PhD in Latvia. I won't say his name. Real super nice guy, and specializing in the neurology of music. And we're just finishing setting up a pilot study where there'll be at least 2 people experiencing the NeuroVIZR at the same time, same session, same time. And we're going to be mapping their brain activity to see whether exactly the same stimulation is creating the same neural responses or different neural responses. And then we're also connecting it with the second stage to see whether it improves musical improvisation. So it's a dual pilot study. Yeah, I mean, even yesterday I was speaking with a person like, oh, do you have like Schumann 7.8 hertz? I said, well, you have to understand that there's a big range in the Schumann frequency. It depends on where you are in the lightning strike concentration. That the 7.8 is a classic averaging of something that in reality has a great deal of fuzziness. The last thing I'll say here is, if you look at, say, 12 hertz, how many decimal points do you want to put after that? That's the reality of the activity in the brain. And if you go into complex adaptive systems where very small fluctuations of information can create tidal wave responses because of the way that systems are. We're really at the early stages of knowing how to dance with light and the brain, you know, and that's what I'm seeking. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be ahead and stay ahead of the wave of research and understanding. And, you know, that's the juice that I'm building into the NeuroVIZR as best as I can. Yeah.
I've seen you launched this.
Well, Nick, give me a second. Yellow shirt. Michael wants to jump in. Hi, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, what's up?
Can I speak?
Please. I'm waiting for it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, my name is Michael. We are using the VIZR only since 8 weeks. But
Okay.
I and my wife, I have a question. I and my wife, we have a healing place in Freiburg, southwest of Germany.
Yes.
And we have lots of tools, you know, we're into tools. And we noticed that sometimes you have normal mainstream people who are using tools and they're like, okay, you know, and then you have the highly sensitive people who are using the tools and they're like, whoa, you know, too much.
Sure.
And so I gave the VIZR to my wife in an 11-minute session. And of course, she was overwhelmed. It's normal for her, you know,
Okay.
so no problem. And later on, I do five minutes and it was better. But my question to you is there something like an entry point where you create a starting phase version of one of the things you can select so that people like this can get accustomed to this flickering light, and the light is not so strong. It's more like, you know, warming up the system. Is there something?
Yes, there is. Probably, you know, there are different collections or sections, and we're reconfiguring them to make them more understandable. So I understand that it may not be easy to understand the choices. Okay. To answer you more directly, the Brain Gym has a section called Brain Builders. And Brain Builders are 5 minutes long, and they focus on slowly building neurological capacity in 4 main categories. So the coordination builds the ability to have change of a certain degree. So it's all about change. So it like jump to go from 10 hertz to 11 hertz to 12. Those are little changes. Can you do that? Then the next one is from 10 to 12 to 14. Ooh, that's a little bit more. Or 10 to 14 to 18. Wow, that's a lot. So coordination is about the amount of change. Flexibility is, flexibility is about the complexity of change. A little bit like that game Twister, you know, if you have to turn your body this way, that way. And then the endurance is about the speed of the change. You know, that if you're learning a new dance step, maybe you can do it dancing slowly, but can you do the same dance step a little bit more quickly? And then the last one is about the strength of the signal. So for people that are sensitive, and many of us are, it is really great to start in the Brain Gym with the Brain Builders. And it is more than a psychological, it's actually a physiological tolerance that builds. I'll make a quick analogy. You go to a tennis coach, you want to learn to play tennis. They say, okay, great. They do an evaluation. Come on in tomorrow, and I'll meet you in the gym. No, I want to meet you on the court. No, I'm sorry. Right now, your strength in your shoulder girdle you're so weak that you won't be able to serve. You might even tear a muscle. And you're very stiff. So we're going to have to work on your flexibility because you really can't twist for a backhand. And your eye-hand coordination is so bad that you will never be able to hit the ball, and so on and so on. So in order to play tennis, they may need to spend some time in the gym building foundational abilities.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
That's and of course you can always put the light intensity slider all the way down.
I know.
Yeah. So I would say a little long-winded, but yeah, check out the brain builders in the brain gym. They're purposely only 5 minutes long, and they don't have the complexity that the other sessions have. The sessions, like in mind states, these are complex processes. They're complex processes, and it's good to build up to them if you have to.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Olaf, you typed something in. Do you mind saying it out loud? Because I didn't read it that clearly. Olaf, you're on mute. Okay, let me go. I'll see if I can read it then. Resting.
Sorry. Now,
okay, okay.
I couldn't demute. Sorry. Good morning, Garnet.
Good morning. We're all good.
Very good. Oh, I had two questions. One, the last one was about stacking in the same session, and how to make a progression in stacking. I'm a little bit of it can be a little bit nerdy and do 2 or 3 or maybe sometimes 4 sessions in the same session.
Yeah, I understand. Sure. Okay. I'll give you my opinions, because this is not hard and fast, but you will notice that sessions have themes or vectors or names, and they're in categories, explore or focus, relax, something like that. The most fundamental way to stack is where you stack in the same theme, so that you stay in the same theme. Like if you start off drinking wine, stay with wine, don't go to tequila and then to beer. Try to stay thematically so that the brain is accustomed to that. But if the brain is more, what I'll say, gymnastic, meaning that it's better exercised, then you could build it in a progression where you start off relaxed. Now that you're relaxed, maybe you want to kick it up into some focus. And now that you've done the focus, you kick it up into some exploration, which is quite diversified, and then end with relaxation again. So I'd say there are 2 ways. One is you stay on a constant theme and you hang in with it. The other is that you build it in progression, where one thing leads to another. But that for most people, that dynamic progression can be a little tricky. But that like what's it called? Circuit training in exercise, or even CrossFit, where one thing does lead to another, and it can be progressive. But that's a little bit more tricky. So I'd say for people that want to stack, certainly for a period of time, a few months, explore staying in the same theme or category, and I think you won't have a bellyache in the morning, to follow the wine analogy.
Oh, that's good. The second question, or the first question, was the resting periods. If you do the 42 days sessions or the 42 days program.
Oh, that's from the microdosing you're talking about now.
The microdosing, it's recommended to rest the brain for 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
I did earlier 3 rounds, 3 times 42 days.
You're a monster. You're a monster.
Sorry for that. But then I get bored and took 2 months off. And restarted the sessions yesterday or 2 days ago. I had to try the meditations, and congratulations, I love it. And I had a very early morning yesterday. And I started with a program to wake up the brain, and the whole day, full day without any brain fog, with full engagement. And I was very pleased, and I actually haven't noticed that kind of reaction in the brain earlier, but it helped to rest the brain for 2 months.
Well, what I said earlier, I think you were on, that everything that we know, well, just about everything we know about the soma in general applies to the brain. And in high-level athletics, I've had the chance to work with world-class athletes and, gold medalists. And one of the biggest discoveries in sports medicine and high-level sports performance is doing nothing is something in relation to other things. That I used to work weekly with people, and they would have easy on a 7-day cycle, they'd have 2 or 3 hard days, 2 or 3 easy days, and 1 or 2 rest days. And the rest days were as critical as the exercise days in gaining performance. So, that more isn't better. I'll give you the micro version of what you just said, and I'll express it like this. It may seem unbelievable. Some of you have heard this from me before, I'm not sure, but that the dynamic effects, I'll say the real, that's a funny word, the very important effects of the NeuroVIZR session begin when the light and sound end. The important, and I like analogies. You eat food, enjoy it, it's delicious. The whole thing, the immersive experience of eating is like the light and sound. When you finish eating, you start digesting. So after the light and sound end begins the integration period. And even though we love eating, I guess the purpose of eating is to digest and assimilate. I mean, that's why we want to do it. And the period following a session, technically it's a hyperplastic period, going back to neuroplastic concepts. Hyperplastic, let's do a different word, increased signal sensitivity. You're in a period of increased signal sensitivity for 1 to 2 hours, meaning whatever you do then is going to have a stronger impact on the dynamic process that you set in motion. So understanding that, that saying, don't eat and run, I would say ideally when you do a NeuroVIZR session, I don't know, let's not make it too much of a rule, but let's say that you spend 10 minutes doing nothing after. What are you doing? You just feel what you feel. You feel what you feel. What is it about attention that is so powerful? This is a big topic I won't go into, but the idea is when the light and sound end, you've potentized the system. You've primed the brain, and now that it's primed, we say brain prime and brain time. Take that brain time using your attentional state to follow the feelings and the dynamics, you're going to heighten the integration period. Another point to your drug-free microdosing concept. In neuroplastic physiology, it's not my stuff. I just mentioned that after the stimulation, you have a 1 to 2 hour period of hyperplasticity. It then tapers off and goes down. Guess what? In about 8 hours later, it pops back up again. Not at the same amplitude, but that sensitivity comes back up again. The door opens again to process information at 8 hours. Then it tapers off. The next day, 24 hours after the initial session, it comes up again and then goes down.
Is that applicable in a macro sense as well?
Yes, this let me finish the point, because I think you'll like this a lot. Well, I like it anyway. That you've got the session and a period of hyperplasticity, 1 or 2 hours. Then it swells up again in about 8 hours, lower amplitude. Then it swells up again in 24 hours. And then again, it swells up at 48 hours and then tapers off. That is, and okay, what after 48 is 72, 72 is 3 days. That is the classic Fadiman microdosing schedule, where you dose day, transition day, normal day, dose again. He didn't characterize it this way. I don't see anybody else describing it in this way, but to me, it is straight neuroplastic dynamic. It's a neurological process. What it points to me is that the integration process interrelates with the circadian cycle, that we have to have a sleep cycle, dream cycle, waking cycle, hypnagogic cycle, that neurological integration. Of course, we're circadian beings, we're earthbound and solar stimulated, that process, that the more that we know how to cooperate with our normative physiology, the better the results are going to be. So yes, in conventional microdosing, it's commonly suggested to take a chunk of time off so that when you come back again, it has a full, almost seasonal integration. Almost like a seasonal, again, like, okay, depending, I'm in Thailand, so we don't have the conventional, temperate climate with 4 seasons. But anyway, this quality. The last point I want to make, this plasticity thing, hyperplasticity, if your person keeps on doing this with some amount of repetition and reinforcement, like seasonally almost, guess what? There's this thing called metaplasticity that develops. That means that your baseline of adaptive change, your baseline is getting higher and higher, that you're getting better and better and better at adaptive responses because of the circadian and seasonal reinforcement that's going on. To me, it's so beautiful, it's so elegant to recognize that we are not in nature, that we are nature. And
is it limitations how good you can be, or can you continuing pressing the brain to actually achieve more for a time of infinity?
Well, let's see how long I live. I don't know, but certainly, I say it's a little flowery, but I say no matter what the state of your brain today, it can be better tomorrow. I don't know how much better, but it can certainly be better. And all this superhuman stuff and things, I think it's like baloney. I just want to be better. And achieve something that, I'm a spiritual practitioner. I do meditation techniques. I have for 50 years, so I believe in consciousness. I believe that the brain can adapt and improve. So, that's where I put my vote.
If we go back to the gymnastics or the bodily entrainment, could we see the NeuroVIZR as anabolic steroids, or is it more like minerals and vitamins and things you do today will stay, or will it fade off very quickly?
Well, use it or let's go back to the 3 famous bumper stickers from neuroplasticity. Fire it to wire it. That's the mechanism. Then use it or lose it. If you've ever stretched out your hamstrings and like now you can touch your toes, but you don't do any stretching for 6 months, the body responds to what you do to be the way it is. And then the last one is the brain changes what matters. That's deep stuff to really reflect on that. The brain changes. What does it mean to matter? Like, what's important? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I've got about 15 minutes left. Thank you very much for those of you that are here, so I can see you and talk to you. My understanding is there are a great number of other people that are sort of listening in, but I really appreciate you taking the time. Peter, Michael, yeah, go ahead, Michael. You had your hand up.
Okay. Yeah. If I'm allowed to.
Of course. Hey, listen. This is coffee chat. We're just hanging out here, so all good.
Yeah. I heard a story I'm not sure whether it's from you or another guy. It said if you use the NeuroVIZR for a while, you get these pictures in your. You see things which the lights are not doing, and this goes on for a while, and then you start seeing other things. Maybe like I think you said that. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
A little bit about that.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Classically, and again, this is a little cubic because they kind of blur and blend. They may even have a different sequence. But first of all, they're phosphines. Phosphine is from the Greek term. It means like, little dots and things of light. Get punched in the nose, you'll see them quite clearly, right? So there's that. Then there's the entopic. And this is the retinal visual cortex feedback loop, where you get the colors and the geometrics and all this lovely stuff. And that can keep on expanding like multidimensionally. It's like that's just the beginning, I can tell you. The third thing that you're referring to are called the eidetics. And this is where some processing, some facility in the brain starts to allow connections that it normally doesn't have. For some people, they're naturally prone, but for most of us, we're not. That's where, when you're in the process, you start to not imagine, you actually see things. You see people, you see places, you see landscapes. I've had people, visited. I mean, I'm not, okay, visited from their father that had passed away, or their brother that was, in the military with them that got killed, and they visited with them, or they start to see things. What this does is it starts to move into an unknown aspect of neural processing, because it starts to move into remote viewing, which is also another skill that can be developed, where people see things quite accurately or interpretively that, of course, they can't because they're too far away. Look, I had a question that just popped through can it become interactive? I think it was pretty quick when it popped up. Let me see. Yes, it's from Oliver. Hi, Oliver, wherever you are. Can you make the app interactive where you can control the light show somehow? Yeah. The somehow is the thing that intrigues me. Can we? Maybe. There are two different ways of doing this, and I may sound preposterous to you about one of them. That I've already designed, frankly. Okay, the one that is on most people's minds is there's some kind of feedback or electrode or something that maybe there are three categories, so that the reaction you're having in your brain is influencing the activity of the light and sound. So like there's one possibility, and there are a number of devices out there that are providing feedback. It's a lot more tricky than one might assume, but technology is progressing. I'm particularly interested in new headphones that are coming out that have electrodes on like my earphones here, and they pick up brain waves. So like, that would be interesting. There's that one. The other is where the user could like dial in and out kind of what they want. That sounds attractive. But when you're working with complex compositional dynamics, it's not as easy as you think. It's really easy if you just want to have like brain entrainment. If you have there are a number of devices where you can say, oh, I want 22 hertz, or I want 10 hertz, and you can adjust it and you get it. So there's that. So first category is actually feedback loops. Second category is also like manual settings. This next one, I'll make a very short description. I was mentored, very fortunately, Brenda Dunn, Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab on stochastic randomization. That's a big bunch of words. But that the idea that human consciousness, human intention can interact significantly with highly sensitized stochastic processes, meaning that your mind activity could change the behavior of fine-tune electronic behavior. And so based on that, and I have a lot of experience in that category, whether you give it validity or not, but that, you know, I don't know if we'll get to it, but I've already designed a VIZR session and process that you put it on, you set your intention of what you want to move towards and push, and the session will configure according to your intention. I've not told anybody that, and here I'm telling it live. But anyway, that's in the file cabinet.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's like, uh-oh, Garnet's gone crazy. So what's the difference of focus programs in Brain Gym compared to focus and microdosing? Yeah, there's a big difference. The microdosing, the drug-free microdosing, I'm quite proud of. It is based on early neuroplastic studies, Donald Hebb, Canadian, Hebbian learning, and Hans Selye, who is the grandfather of stress theory. Make it really simple, fast. I believe that our brain has a capacity for change. Cool. I believe we have a functioning ordinary mind and a functioning extraordinary mind. So these are, it's all native neurology. Extraordinary states are not when things screw up. It's, we can shift gears. High energy state, we can't stay there too long, but we can. Okay, so let me say it this way. All psychedelic compounds are psychoactive agents. All psychedelic compounds are psychoactive agents, but not all psychoactive agents are psychedelic compounds. Meaning they're a psychoactive agent, psycho meaning mind, like mind activating agency. Pranayamas, breathing techniques, are examples of psychoactive agency. Humor is a psychoactive agent. Fasting can be a psychoactive agent. Temperature extremes, ecstatic dance and drumming. There are lots of ways of activating the mind to move into non-ordinary or extraordinary states for periods of time of either high order or low order. So psychoactive agency. I think in conventional compound microdosing, I have to say this. I mean, these are big topics, guys. Do you know what hormesis is? Do anybody hear hormesis, right? Hormesis is a circumstantial or environmental insult. Like, why is 100-year-old wild ginseng so important compared to 9-year-old cultivated ginseng? Because that 100 years in the wild has been insulted by all kinds of things, weather and temperature and insects and pressure and all these. So there are a huge number of additional ginsenosides in wild ginseng as compared to cultivated ginseng, because the cultivated has not experienced the hormetic, not hermetic, right? Hormesis, the hormetic insult, the hormetic stimulation. Little bits of suffering in life is hormesis, that it develops something in you. So a microdose of, say, psilocybin, that's the common one for microdosing, is a low-level hermetic stimulation. It's a small challenge introduced into the system. And following neuroplastic processes, these small insults or small stimulations or challenges create an aspect of slow adaptive change. So to me, whether it's a low dose of psilocybin, or in this case, a specifically designed dose of light and sound, that I'm trying to create a regular and periodic hormetic stimulation so that the brain begins to change along that direction. So you would see that there is a dose day in focus, there's a transition day in focus, and there's a normal day in focus, because the degree of the stimulate. Insult sounds like it's negative. It's not negative. I'll just say challenge or stress. That the stress steps down, steps down, steps down, and then starts up again and steps down, steps down. A session in mind states on focus is a composition, a short story in and of itself. There's no progression or dynamic from stage to stage to stage. So one is a kind of a, from mind states, the focus is like one size fits all, where in the microdosing, the dynamic, the stress dynamic is in increment and cascades of degree, and then repeat, and then repeat, and then repeat. There's a lot of stuff stuck in there, I got to tell you. Yes, Nick, take off mute, buddy.
Me?
You're still on mute. Nick, you're muted.
Okay. Okay, yeah, but it reminds me of my...
Okay, Michael's back in. Who's back in? I'm in. Who's in? Nick? Michael, I guess
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, I'm here. All of a sudden, I saw a lot of programs pop up in the app this week. They are very, very special programs. Am I right that they are coming very fast? And did you have to make a change in the light? Because I found out that the programs are now available are more brighter.
Well, okay.
The colors are brighter.
Okay. One thing is the meditation collection has come out. The other is we screwed up, and the guys in tech were doing something. I do a lot of experimental work. I'm always exploring, and one of the things I'm exploring is the dimensionality and implicit information that is in composed music. Music is a big teacher. So I experiment ceaselessly. And so I have these libraries of experimental sessions. Not all, but many of them are built on music that is commercial. I don't have the copyright. I don't have the permission to use and sell, but I use it in my own, in my own computer to explore. So I've got a lot of stuff. It's like a lot of really good stuff, I have to say.
Yeah, like the one with Thales music from 1600.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm, the WTF thing, the what the oh that happened when I said, whoa, wait a minute. So somebody basically let the cat out the back door for, I don't know, it was like a day or something. So like, shit. But okay. So good things to come, Nick. I can say good things to come. And I'm kind of happy that you got a peek, and I'm also quite embarrassed at the same time, but that's life on Earth. Here we go. Nick, you're on mute again.
Did you make a change in the software because the colors are more bright?
It's a different compositional style. You have to, not you, but I think people may not, I don't know, appreciate that the different sessions have different compositional styles, and they interact with the brain differently. I've done, how many thousands of hours of this stuff over the years, and I know exactly what 10 hertz is going to do visually. I know exactly what, well, not exactly, but pretty damn sure what it's going to do, or what 18 hertz does, or whatever. It's the relationship, it's the dimensionality of change from one to the other. That's the game. That's the game. The game is in, again, going back to Hendrix, it's not like what note did he play, it's what note was first and what note follows and how fast. That's the game. This is if you want to know what the brain loves, just explore music, because the brain makes music and enjoys music. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to think about it. As a matter of fact, stop thinking about it. So this is, like jump on board, get on the surfboard, stay in front of the wave, because what we're doing with light, within a couple of years, we'll be at the level of satisfaction and complexity of what we're able to do with sound and music. So, I mean, hang on. Okay,
just starting.
My folks are telling me that we've hit the hour mark. Thank you, Andres. Next time, buddy, I'm gonna like get in there and turn your mute off. I'd love to hear more from you. So thank you for being there. Ilmari, same thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not calling you out. It's just I love to meet people and hang out and talk about things. So you're very, very welcome to join in more actively anytime you want. Okay. Nick, Michael,
Yeah. Peter,
Martin from Thailand. You know, it's summer right now, but you know, come November, December, when you guys up in Europe are freezing your ass off, come on down and visit, okay? All right. Bye-bye. Thank you all very much. It's deeply appreciated. And you, Olaf, you know, you're in the saddle, ready to ride. I like that. Okay. Take all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Butch.